These carpenter bees, thankfully, they don't chew a hole in what this wood is treated with. These things are a nightmare. Had these jars up on the other house. I bet there's 500 in there. Bees. I mean, I hate doing it, but man, they will wreck your house. They drill a perfect 3/8 inch hole. Just kicking it. You know what I'm saying? I got some good audio the other night. You know what I can't figure out? Hey, Rogue, how you doing? Yeah, those are carpenter bees. They're a major pain in the ass. They'll chew your house to bits. I did figure out on this thing that you can't invite somebody if you do it horizontally, just vertically. I send Stephanie a thing, and I'm wondering if you can click on this thing. Hey, Christy, after you've started the chat, because it makes it look like you're waiting for the guest. So I'm not really sure. I'm just kicking. I got a ton of shit to do around here. See how this grass is already growing? Something wrong with the mower, and the trailer's got a bunch of shit on it. So I gotta get that mower over to the thing. I hope they don't take too long. And then I'm gonna spray this. Beautiful day today. It's gonna get hotter though. See the grass is starting to grow. Believe me, you don't want to get behind in the grass here. Yeah, babies are doing great. They hit up Marty. I'm trying to get him to go in there and talk to him. I raise birds. You need to handle them and stuff. That's a myth about a scent on birds with people's hands. It's total false. Doesn't mean jack shit. They don't care. You can pick them out, play with them, put them back in the nest. It doesn't bother them at all. But now they've been around for about a week. Oh, here we go. Right here. They've been around for about a week, and they know that I'm the enemy. Hey, Steph.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. You got your spring bikini on?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Right.
Good for you. Tell you what, I'm glad I realized. Hey, Angie, how you doing? Oh, she's asking me about my tooth. Yeah, I'll tell you. I got a wisdom tooth pulled out.
Oh,
Did I
you
tell you that?
did?
Yeah, I got one pulled out yesterday. So, anyway, long story short, I had one pulled out a long time ago, and it was a lot of problems. But anyway, I go to this place, and I was not really wanting to do it. Who does, right? It's the
Right.
most professional place ever. I don't know how there's any money in that. The whole thing costs like $420. You go in there, there's three people in there. There's the dentist, super professional. I'm a total baby when it comes to pain. And
Yeah.
there is a genetic predisposition to that with redheads for some reason. I don't know why.
Huh.
Although I don't have any red hair anymore. I used to. And I'm the biggest baby in pain you wouldn't believe it. And that tooth, how I figured it out is I was getting a little sensitivity when I was using a water pick. And then I went in
Right.
there and she said, "Yeah, you got an infection down." I'm glad I had it taken out actually. I don't know. It seems like the last year it's like it's hard to floss and whatever. Anyway, so they say you got to take it out. You got to go on a consult, which I think is a big ripoff. $125. I already knew I needed it out. It was referral for a dentist. Consult what? You fill out all the stuff online, your medical history and everything. I think it's just a way to get more money out of you, which I don't mind, but just do it all in
Uh-huh.
one fell swoop. There are places that do it all at once, but this guy doesn't do it. So anyway, I go in there. My appointment's at 1. I go in there. He said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "I remember I told you, I'm a real baby when it comes to pain." And he kind of talked me out of getting put under. He said, "You've had shots. I don't think you need it." It's like, okay. So I was at 1 o'clock. He gives me like 5 little tiny pricks, and they got like a lady that like rubs your arm, and another one's
Uh-huh.
talking. They distract you, and believe it or not, it like worked. Or it just, and I got 5 shots around the tooth. They came back
Uh-huh.
in 15 minutes later, and I figured they'd like trick me, like your shoes untied, some shit like that. And he
Right.
did. And he said, "This is just you're going to feel a little pressure here." And I did,
Uh-huh.
and I saw that tooth come out in like a second. I was on my way driving home in less than 25 minutes.
Yes. Tom, when I lost all my teeth eventually,
Yeah.
and I had some good ones like that, and then I had some bad ones pulled, and then at the end, I think I don't know how many teeth left. They just put me to sleep because they had to, pull so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah, and I
But
thought, and even afterwards, I thought, they said, "Well, do you want something for pain?" It's like, not really. What do you have in mind? I know they're not giving you any Percocets or anything. I wouldn't want them anyway. He said, just take like some uh, ibuprofen. He said, if it was me, I would just take two right away. So I did.
right.
I never felt a bit of pain. Actually, I went out and ate a Mexican dinner about 4 hours later. I couldn't believe it, man. It was like no problem, no pain, and totally out driving home in less than a half hour.
Yep, that's great.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's so weird. Uh my wisdom teeth never came in, and
Mm,
I still got them in my gums. They
that's
told me there
crazy.
was no reason to
Oh,
have
wow.
those dug out also because they don't bother me. Uh, they just, yeah, so I still have them somewhere in my gums. It's weird.
That is weird. First,
Yeah.
yeah, I mow 9 acres. I was talking to my dentist is a real science nut, so we're always trading books and stuff like that. And she was telling me that uh, over the last 1,000 years, jaws have gotten smaller. And the amount of
Huh.
teeth that stayed the same, 32, which is why a lot of dentists want to take them out in advance. Overall, it saves problems with people. And I asked her last time I was in there, because you ever hear like people comment, and I commented on it too. If you ever look at like African Americans, they seem like they have such great teeth. I mean, straight, super white. And I
Yeah.
said, honestly, it's like as a population, what's going on with her? She said, well, she said it's the contrast between the dark skin and the teeth. That's one thing. So your brain's interpreting their teeth is probably whiter than they really are. If you took those same teeth and you put them in your face, they wouldn't look like that. That's the first thing. And she says, as a population, like compared to Asians and you know different groups, that their periodontal disease is disproportionately high. So looks are deceiving. It's kind of interesting. You still there? Hey, Angie. Oh, about going to the dentist? Wow. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too big on it, but I wasn't like, uh, too worried about it, honestly. I figured that I mean, I've had teeth drilled on before, and I remember one time about when I was living up in West Branch, I had to get the maximum shots. Like they couldn't give me any more after that. So if that didn't work, but my mother was a redhead, and she never got any kind of anesthesia at all. No numbing, nothing, which is just nuts. I would like go crazy. I don't know what happened. Must have. Yeah, and I never really realized. It's just hard for me to believe that you can make a living. There's a million of them around just pulling teeth in this day and age because everybody preaches save your teeth no matter what. Well, that must be not including wisdom teeth. But that guy's busy. He's not super busy though, because actually I met him through a place that I didn't go to because they never called you back. And finally they called me back, and it's funny, when I went to him, I said, I was going to go to this other place, but they never called me back. He said, well, I work at that other place once a week pulling teeth for them. It's like, oh no shit. Well, tell them they're terrible. His is like real professional. It's like in a upper middle class area, and super nice office, super nice staff. And it was very professional. I mean, I'd definitely recommend somebody to go there. Oh, you really? Yeah, that's actually that's not uncommon with people and anxiety related going to a dentist. Uh, I think the most painful thing I ever had in my life was getting planner's warts out as a teenager. God damn, man, you talk about hurt. I'll tell you another funny thing happening one time. I moved to Detroit back around 84 just to experience living in the hood. I mean, I was a big basketball player and, I'd played with like blacks, but not that much. And I'd been down there playing before. And I thought, I just want to really experience living in the hood. So I moved down there and I lived there a year. And it was in a neighborhood that was like predominantly over the prior 75 years Polish, but it was pretty much all African American. It was not right next to a big housing project called Herman Gardens, which has since been totally redone. And I had some kids that were across the street, and I'd take them swimming and stuff sometimes because their parents didn't have a car. And I was throwing water balloons at them one day, and my knee went through the door. And I'm not kidding you, it opened my thigh up, like right about where the pocket would be on a pair of jeans. It opened my thigh up about 6 inches long, and that skin spread apart probably an inch. You ready for this? It didn't bleed at all. No blood, didn't hit any artery, didn't hit any vein. You could see right down there really deep. It looked just like chicken. So I went to the emergency and, they numbed me up, which didn't really hurt much. And I got like 38 stitches, something like that. But it's just weird how, like, things that you think would be painful are not, and things that, the other way around are. So it's crazy. Nuts. You there, Steph?
Yeah, sort
That's
of was
okay.
my
That's okay.
phone. All of a sudden
Oh,
it's buffering,
yeah, that's
so
okay.
I restarted my phone. It's my area. It happens
Oh.
to me some.
Oh, so you're on cell phone, not Wi-Fi.
Well, actually, yeah, I have both of them connected.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you just do Wi-Fi when you're on YouTube?
Oh, I don't know. I've just
Yeah.
always
I
had
mean,
both of them, T-Mobile and Wi-Fi connected.
yeah, I think you're probably on Wi-Fi though when you're doing this. But
Yeah, I'm not.
Wi-Fi, that's one of the big criticisms of Wi-Fi. Like I got
Uh-huh.
2 gig download and I bought a super expensive router just because, And I read a lot about Wi-Fi since then, and there's a lot of
Uh-huh.
downside to Wi-Fi. Believe it or not, even in this day and age, if you got a house and you don't want to put a security system, they'll say Wi-Fi because it's a pain in the ass running wires. But if you're in a place where they really want to make sure there's something of value or a daycare or something like that, they recommend do not use Wi-Fi. Hardwire it just like the old days. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi could see after Wi-Fi goes out around here. And then I have to sit and wait and then it comes.
Yeah. See, what's crazy here is like, I mean, there's this was I wondered about this when I got here, and this is all fiber optic underground, and there's 3 houses on this road, and it's 3.5 miles long. There's only 3 houses, and you think to yourself, why in the hell would anybody go through all that bullshit? Because you can't do that with electricity. Like that's one of the
Right.
reasons why I built this house here, because those electric poles. When you start dragging power places, it happened to me in Florida. Those fuckers charged me like 19 grand to drag some power back to a horse stall because they said, we're not going to get our money out of you like we would in a residence where we know you're going to be using electricity all the time. Therefore, this is the cost to trench a line back to the barn. So here I already had power because it's the same shit down here. They just want an arm and a leg. But as it turns out, this is predominantly African American community, and Obama did this. And a guy was telling me that when he was pushing for internet, because there was a big push at one time, they didn't want to leave the poor, disconnected from the real world, which I agree with. And he said that the feds would come in and they would pick out, like, they would see barns on a schematic map of the area that never had anybody living in them. and they would get approval to run fiber optic back there, even though it would probably never be used. So there's an
Oh.
example of there are good reasons to do it, and also taxpayer waste. They were
Ah.
trenching and putting this wire there when they knew it would never be used, which to me is wrong.
Huh.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
That is.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
thought it
Tom,
was
before I got kicked off, back to the teeth, last month my sister had to have her two front teeth crowned. It was $2,400.
yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
That's weird.
You know
Two
what,
front teeth.
Tom?
Does she grind her teeth?
Yeah, and she chipped them, so she had um,
Yeah.
a big space between, and then she had a hole behind one of them. She thought that she might need a root canal, but she didn't. But they look so good.
Yeah, no, it's crazy what they've done. I looked up just for the hell of it
Uh
that
huh.
a new tooth around here is about 7 grand now. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering too if the price goes up for front teeth. I mean, that seems stupid, but I mean, I wonder if they charge more for like front teeth. Maybe not because they're just, that's a procedure. You got to get a graft and this and that and drill a
Yeah.
hole. Forget that, man. I hope I never have to have that done.
Oh, yeah, I can't believe. I mean, they look so nice. He got the exact color of her other teeth.
That's crazy.
I'm so jealous. I said, "Oh my God, Susie!" But she never got the gum disease like I did. She got lucky.
Yeah, did you have
Um,
pyorrhea? Did you have periodontal disease or pyorrhea?
yeah,
I remember my mom talking about that as a kid all the time.
yeah.
So they must.
All my teeth just starting got loose. Nothing they
Hmm.
can do for that. It's your gums.
Yeah, I know I grind the hell
Yeah,
out of my teeth at night. I've tried wearing things in my mouth, but I don't like doing it.
yeah.
It just feels, I
No,
don't know. I mean, like, have you ever tried those breathe right strips to help you breathe? I
no.
guess I just don't like anything like, I'm trying to fucking sleep, man. I don't want something in my mouth or stuck on my nose. It bothers
Oh,
me.
I know. Could you imagine having to wear that mask thing at
Yeah,
night?
CPAP. No, a
What
lot
is
of people
that
do.
called?
CPAP.
Yeah, I hope I don't ever my breathing gets that bad where
Yeah, but
there
let me
is
tell
no
you,
way in hell.
yeah, you could. You'd be surprised because, back like 10 years ago, yeah, but now they got these masks. You can't even tell they're on. And
Oh,
yeah, they're way advanced. There's no noise. I mean, I know quite a few people on those, and
uh-huh.
they said it helped their life.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh. Interesting.
yeah.
I
It's
just
everything.
I can't imagine having to sleep with something on my face. Oh my God.
She said peg laterals. I've never heard of that actually. I got a couple books on teeth, but I never got around to reading them. I will someday. And they talk about teeth and how they've evolved and that kind of thing. And I got another book on talk about the scams that dentists read that do. And one article I read just about a month ago said that any dentist that tries to get you to sell you a bite guard is a scammer, which I kind of think. I mean, there's got to be instances where people need them, but I knew
Mm.
a dentist in Chicago, and he said they were a scam and that they cost like $16 to make, and they charge like 550. So that was from a dentist, and then they say that's the first clue. You need a bite guard, and the second clue is trying to get you to buy prescription toothpaste.
Oh, what?
Yeah, prescription toothpaste. For sensitivity and stuff. So I don't really know if that's like accurate or not. I mean, there's got to be a market for it in a legitimate medicinal use. And I don't think every dentist is a ripoff. But I mean,
I've
I guess,
never heard of that.
yeah,
I've never heard of prescription toothpaste.
yeah, they do
So
it.
I've
In fact,
never
I
been
heard of that.
offered it. No.
Yeah, I know it's
Huh.
like sensitivity and stuff like that. And I know that
Oh,
I have read that if you grind your teeth, you will like get like gum recession, but I'm not too worried about it because I figure I need these teeth like what about another 15 years or something.
right. Yeah,
I mean, they
I
lasted
know.
this long. Shit, it's just crazy you getting wisdom teeth. I think too what people must have done back in the day. You had a tooth bothering you. My God. Oh,
Oh, yeah, I
Tawas,
know
yeah.
it.
Hey, Justin, on Tawas out there, is that ice floating down through the bay? Is it early, late? What's the deal on that? I was thinking about Tawas today. I love Tawas is the best park I've ever been to as far as winter viewing. Love it there. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Who knows
your
there?
weather does look nice there. It's all rainy here.
Yeah, this is like a typical day here all year long, really. I mean, it's getting a little warmer now, and you can see the grass is turning green and starting to grow. I mean, there's just
Right.
pollen up the yin yang, man. You would not believe the pollen. I mean, it just coats everything. I'm not kidding you. There are times when there's probably, well, look at the pollen here on this. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I've brushed that off 12. I bet it's like a 16th of an inch deep. But they say that that's not the pollen that affects allergies, that it's too heavy. That pollen goes out and falls right away. That's not the kind anybody's breathing in. That's what they say. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I love
Huh.
tennis. Yep. So I don't know. I've been taking some allergy medicine. I've been taking I started taking an antidepressant too about 10 days ago.
Oh,
I
you
t-
did?
yeah, an old one, yeah, Wellbutrin actually, which they use for a lot of things, to quit smoking and
Yeah.
to lose weight, and it's a stimulant. They actually grind it up and snort it places if they can get it cheap enough. And I'm on about my yeah, they do. On like about my ninth day, and I notice a big difference. And I don't know
Really?
if I don't know if I'm like tired because I'm depressed or tired because of allergies or fucking tired because I'm old. I do know this. I was lifting weights too much. I can't like do that
Oh,
anymore. I can't do it, man. I can't lift weights like I did. I mean, which I knew was coming, but like
yeah.
the right you took where your elbow is, like where you hit it, sometimes your funny bone that hurts. If you went on
Yeah.
the top side of that, the exact opposite side, like on the top of your forearm, both my elbows are like super sore, and my shoulders are sore too, and it's from lifting too much heavy weight. So I'm gonna take a few weeks off and just do like I got to do something different. Now I was not taking ibuprofen, and I may try that, but I don't want to be like getting a rotator cuff tear or something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You got to be careful
I have to
because
get that.
Tom, you're not the same like you used
No,
to be.
no, you seem I don't like. It's not like a big deal, but everything seemed to be going pretty good. But I think I
Right.
just got at this age, I couldn't get any stronger without injuring myself.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like too much for like an old body.
Yeah. Well, yeah, moderation too. I
Yeah,
think
motivation.
you were doing too
Yeah, it's
much.
probably doing too much. So
Yeah.
I don't, I probably, I mean, if I really wanted to know, I would have quit doing that before I took an antidepressant. But I don't give two shits about taking an antidepressant. Uh, you want to know something else weird too? This is no
What?
bullshit, man. When I started taking that, like some people they say it takes like 2 or 3 weeks, Prozac longer to work effect. But after about 3 days on that shit, I don't want to watch porn anymore.
Huh.
Not one bit. Not at all. It doesn't even interest me. Isn't that weird? And
Well, don't
they say that's like a major side effect, but it ain't too big of a problem for me. You
yeah,
know?
that's what I heard. Some antidepressants can cause, something to do with your sexual drive.
Yeah, no, mine actually disappeared. And I know when I had taken it in the past that if I drank coffee and I was on one of those, that I would be jittery. And I notice I'm not jittery, and I take two a day, not one. And I know if I'd have taken one of those like 5 years ago, afternoon, whether it was the first one or the second one, there's no way in hell I was going to go to sleep. And I've been like,
Really?
oh, yeah, I'm falling asleep just fine. It's weird. And
Huh.
If I took like a Wellbutrin and had a big cups of coffee, I could not even like legibly sign my name. It would
Huh.
affect me that much. And like, I don't have that at all. It's so weird.
Huh. That is
Crazy.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But you look at like, drug interactions with different people and, what anaphylactic shock. And, the body's not perfect. And you just never really know what's what when you take something.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah. It's just how you're going to react to it. It's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, because different side effects hit different people.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
And I know that's
Um,
the big, that's when they're doing research and like clinical trials, that's of course the main goal, the least amount of side effects for the most amount of benefit. And I know they struggled and continue to still do that with medicinal marijuana, is that the idea is not to have a bunch of people around high, it's to have a bunch of people around with relief, but not yet high. And that's hard to do because it affects
right.
different ways. It's
Yeah.
interesting. It's interesting though. That medicinal marijuana has fallen on its ass in Michigan. Those places are going broke left and right, retail and wholesale, and the growers. I mean,
Really?
oh yeah, man, those left and right, the biggies too, the big huge ones. And you know what else
Why?
I'm wondering about too? Who knows? My guess is I don't know this. The little I've read on it says that the the bureaucratic nightmare of paperwork is just what keeps you, crazy, and that the black market is caught up. So the majority of it's starting to be sold again on the street because no cop is arresting you for marijuana anymore. He didn't give a shit where you got it. So
Right.
why would you go through all that bullshit with paperwork and a building and overhead and a staff when you could
Right.
sell it out the back of your garage? I'm really
Huh.
kind of surprised that these states haven't tried to make examples of people by, hey, we told you shouldn't be selling this shit illegally, but they haven't. I mean, you think the
Oh.
first thing they do is go around and bust people and make sure it got on the news,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not doing it. I mean, you talk to law enforcement places, like here, it's still illegal, and they don't give two shits how much marijuana you got on you when they pull you over.
Oh, it's still illegal
Oh
there?
yeah, big time, yeah.
Huh.
This is where they make all their money, particularly in this county, because there's about 6 miles of I-20, which is a big drug corridor. And the minute you smell marijuana, it's probable cause. So you can search the vehicle without a search warrant. Where in Michigan,
Ah.
now that it's legal, you're fucked. You got to get consent, or you have to have some overwhelming evidence that there's a reason to search it, or you have to go get a drug dog, which is a pain in the ass. And yeah, that really knocked down their ability to search vehicles.
Huh.
Yeah,
It's been legal here for so long that
yeah.
yeah.
Well, these are, these are big Bible toters down here. That's the devil bringing in, illicit behavior and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I guess they're close to medicinal marijuana, but
Oh.
who know? I'll believe it when I see it. But recreational, it's the biggest hat that law enforcement hangs their hat on the hook down here because it's a open season. Yeah, they
Huh.
can. And
We just I mean, it's like every couple miles here there's a weed store. I mean, it's ridiculous.
and I know in Michigan, like 10 years ago, they would bring a helicopter in, the drug enforcement agency. The feds would work with local law enforcement, and all they do is flying around the helicopter. They'd land that helicopter right in your backyard, come up and arrest you. And I
Huh.
talked to him one time at the airport. It's like, if you could show him a grower's permit for medicinal uses, yeah. Well, that all went out the window too with recreational because Michigan has a pretty liberal policy in how many plants you can have. But I actually know
Uh-huh.
two guys that got arrested for that shortly after I moved up there. Yeah. And I talked to one of those federal guys one time because I was at the airport and they were flying around these helicopters. And I said, what do you do? Like have, some kind of special lens or because you can do that with camera lenses to highlight whatever. And he said, no. He said you can see marijuana leaves a mile away against any. It's a unique, almost fluorescent green. But you don't need anything special at all. And all they would be using is their eyes and a pair of binoculars. They'd fly around that house, land that damn helicopter, in a field, walk up to the door,
Uh-huh.
want to see your card, and if you didn't have it, put your hands behind your back. Isn't that
Jeez.
crazy? I know.
That
Can you
is
believe? Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Can you imagine just like be sitting out in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden you see this helicopter land? Of course, after a while, I'm sure that they knew what was what. But it's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it didn't turn out to be the demand and the big business that they thought it would. I mean, like I said, they're
Right.
failing left and right. But
Yeah. Well,
welcome to government regulating anything.
yeah. 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 Seattle's just a big stoner place. Oh God, wait till you hear this, Tom. I almost text you the picture. You know, what they did in Tacoma?
Hmm.
We have Tacoma Dome.
Yeah.
Uh, they put the trans flag on top of it.
Oh, yeah, I believe it. Yep.
Yeah, they put the trans flag on top of the Tacoma Dome. I couldn't believe it.
Now
Uh,
Toronto's real, they'll call it progressive. So I don't care about the trans shit as long as I'm not paying for it. But,
right, me
Toronto,
too.
Toronto, Ontario's like that. You look on the internet, they got, 50 clinics that'll help you make the transition. I told you I had a neighbor that did it in Chicago.
Uh huh.
That's a pretty much, I mean, I wouldn't even like peg that totally liberal. It kind of runs hand in hand with liberal, but I know there's some, believe it or not, right wingers that have done that. It's not always like people from Seattle and Ann Arbor and Madison, Wisconsin, but I don't give a
Right.
shit. But that neighbor of mine, he got switched from male to female, and he was always having medical problems. And it told me
I
one
was
time,
just gonna say that. I
yeah,
can't imagine somebody putting themselves through that. I've watched some YouTube videos about it, and my God, it is. Oh,
oh, the hormone treatment is like going, and
oh,
that's a long time before you actually get any surgery. But just
yeah,
putting like, female hormones in a male body. I mean, you know what menopause does to females that were born female that die female. You can
yeah. I know it.
imagine, and it's so linked to behavior hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, all bets are off. I mean, I'd love to see studies on this stuff with regard to aggression and suicide and a bunch of other shit. Because, this this guy, I mean, once you get the surgery, it's like you're in it for the long haul, and the last thing you want to do is get off that therapy regime, that hormone therapy regime, which was pretty damn expensive to keep taking those
Yeah.
female hormones.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of them. I've watched videos that they're sorry that they did it later
Yeah.
on.
No, I know. I got a
Yeah.
buddy of mine who's got a buddy that's a retired pilot that had his son do that. And it's just like been a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know. I just don't get it.
No, well, they claim, at least the little I've read on it, is you were that sex trapped in the other sex's body. That's how they felt.
Yeah, yeah. I see. See, I don't care what people want to. They can do what they want. It's just you're right. I don't want to pay for it. Don't take out of my benefits to cover your surgery.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. But I'm the same way. I don't give a shit what people want to do to themselves, but I don't want to pay for it.
yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, I'm glad it didn't happen to me, I'll tell you that. I mean, life's complicated enough without going through that bullshit.
Yeah. I
And
want to
and
be
if
a
you if
man.
yeah, and if you look at just the odds of like, you know, a sexually active lifestyle, I mean, if you were gay, like your odds are like already like super diminished just by a numbers game.
Right.
I mean, so it would just seem like, God, just so much extra bullshit to go through.
I know it.
You know, you're
I know
especially
it.
back in the day. Like I had a buddy of mine that was a big shot in the entertainment business in Detroit, and this was pre acceptance deal. And I can tell you now, he worked for the Little Caesars thing, who owned all the pro sports teams, you know, the pizza people.
Uh-huh.
And they actually had him followed because of a tip that he was gay way back when, right after they started buying sports teams. And they called him into the office and the whole bit and laid it on the line. It's like, what's going on here? And he had been a traveling CPA with the Ice Capades.
Uh-huh.
And what happened is when they would travel, you know, there used to be a lot of money in the hot dogs and the t-shirts, and there probably still is. So once they had taken over and they bought a couple more teams, you know, they have pro plus like amateur, that kind of thing. They ended up cutting some third party vendors that would like kind of travel with them for all the gravy money, and it pissed them off. And that's who was calling. And they were making up bullshit saying, well, in the Red Wings, the hockey team, they would have an annual dinner where you'd pay like 2 grand and you'd take your kid to a big dinner and you'd sit and eat dinner with the Red Wings and that kind of thing. And they tried that on him twice, that he had like touched their kids inappropriately. And I'm sure like
Oh,
he's going to do some stupid shit like this at a Red Wing dinner,
right.
but it was enough to get the ball rolling. And luckily, both times they did it, he got tipped off
Uh-huh.
and actually hired dating services and shit and took women out to dinner.
Huh.
Or as he said, if he hadn't, fuck, they'd have got that motherfucker going to all sorts of gay bars and shit. They'd have probably fired him. But both
Huh.
times that he knew of, he got tipped off. He got phone calls and say, "Hey, we got this private detective calling around out in fucking Los Angeles wanting to know about did you date while you're out there and that kind of shit." And then right away he actually saw them twice waiting to follow him outside his condominium.
That's nuts.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
But, you know, back then, I mean, you know, you were
Yeah.
kind of like, you're believing this bullshit. You're thinking that every gay guy is a pedophile. And what if this is true? And man, we better sink some
Right.
money into this. And, you know, now, I mean, they just take it as like, I mean, I don't think it, I think they just treat it as a bullshit, undocumented allegation. Like, show me some proof.
Right.
You know, and now they get the kid in the room by himself. It's like, well, you know, he probably gave 5 different stories. And then they
Yeah.
realize it's bullshit. But that's what it came out of. It was they blamed him because he was like the financial manager of that arm of the company for axing them when it wasn't him. It was just them hiring their old people rather than going through third party vendors. Yeah.
Huh.
And I ran his funeral and all that stuff. And, you know, we had a wake and like a dinner and that kind of stuff. And I'm not bullshitting you, man. I probably got calls from 20 Catholic priests about, you know, this wasn't going to be videotaped or any of this shit, was it? It's like, nah, fuck no, no cameras, you know, because they were really worried about being at this wake and like having photos taken or anything. It was, I'm not
Huh.
kidding you, probably 20 Catholic priests. And I knew some of those guys. I didn't know they were priests, though. Even my buddy kind of kept that a secret. But later
Uh-huh.
on, I figured it out. Yeah. And those guys, I know those guys would like some of those guys would take trips down to like South Beach in Costa Rica, take these long weekends, and you know, God knows what they were doing there. You know, they're probably doing gay shit, but I mean, you know, you hear this crazy shit, and they talk about celibacy with priests and stuff, and then you actually see it for real, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow, this is crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Oh boy.
Yeah, nuts. My buddy that I was a priest in Chicago, the guy that eventually died from lung cancer down there, he He had two priests out of his seminary class get married and murder their wives.
You're kidding.
No, and he knew like 8 guys that got caught up in that molestation bullshit. Ones that they knew was a problem and transferred and took them away from parish priest jobs and gave them other shit to do. That ended up getting caught with kiddie porn and stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But, once again, it's a numbers game. Whenever you have that many males, that aren't supposed to be around females, I mean, that's just going to happen no matter what their job is,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
crazy. Yep.
That's nuts.
Yeah, you just never know. But I also wonder sometimes, like, the origin of uh, how cities became liberal like that. I mean, progressive, like what they call it now. Like how you could have entire places. Like, how did that morph into that? I mean, Ann Arbor, I know why. It was like a liberal, hell, they were having a marijuana day 50 years ago and nobody was doing shit about it. It was one
Yeah.
of those deals where it was still illegal, but the cops and the prosecutors agreed not to mess with you. And I just wonder how, like, certain places, like in those kind of numbers with high populations, just like become known that way.
Oh, I know, like Seattle. Yeah, I wonder too.
Yeah, in Ann Arbor, places like that.
Yeah.
New Mexico too. What's that
They,
big Santa Fe? Yep, big huge
yeah.
place. And Asheville, North Carolina,
Oh, I know. Yeah,
which is weird because that's like part of the Bible Belt.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
you just
know.
never know. There's a joke, that you'll never meet more lesbians in your life than in Asheville, North Carolina, which was kind of surprising to me.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, conservative, Bible toting place. But I mean, you think that's the last place. And of course, South Beach, that's been big for trans for years before it was even like, talked about much. That was always, they had big, huge, like trans parks down there already. Who's into that trans shit? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out. He's been busted a couple times. Is Eddie Murphy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so they say Jerome Bettis too, the running back from Philadelphia,
Oh,
Pittsburgh.
really?
Yeah, they get parking tickets and shit in those places where, if they say they were just giving a guy a ride, that kind of shit. I mean, you got to say something, right? When you're caught back there,
Right. Right.
and they're getting. They caught my
Uh,
real estate. I had a real estate guy down in Florida, super good guy, and they caught his partner back shortly after I moved there at a rest stop.
oh
Yeah,
my
and which was
God.
good. Yeah, just as it turns out, there's a whole super like subset faction of homosexual guys, and that's the only thing they're interested in is shit like that. Rest stops.
Oh my.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. It's not all of them,
Oh,
but there are certain, and I knew a group through my buddy in Detroit, and it was an all gay motorcycle gang. And these guys were all, roid taker, bodybuilders, belt karate guys. And all they would do is ride around trying to start fights. They'd
huh.
go they'd go down someplace and, park their motorcycles and hold hands and somebody'd come over there and say something or they're getting beaten.
You
Because
know
these guys
what?
could.
Yeah. I always wonder, what is wrong with the man's brain?
Yeah, I think it's genetic. I think there's
It's
a I
got
think
to
there's a
be the male
yeah.
gene because, the majority of shit that happens, it's always males.
No, yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I, I,
Uh,
I think there's a biological basis for it. I don't think it's a bad habit. And I
no,
think,
it's got
I
to
think,
be.
yeah, I think I'll bet you money since day one, if you believe the Adam and Eve story, ever since then, there's been just as many then as there are now. A good number that's talked about a lot is 10% of the male population, which I'd go with.
Well,
I-
yeah,
I'd
and
say,
yeah, once in a while, there'll be a woman on the news or something that's a serial killer or
yeah,
a rapist or something, but it makes the news because it's very rare.
yeah, like
Um,
Irene Warmus, when they
yeah,
killed.
it's
Yeah,
it's very rare for women, but not with men. Oh my
no, I know.
God,
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true.
I know it's nuts.
Look at John
Uh,
Wayne Gacy. Actually,
oh
my
yeah,
priest buddy in Chicago had a teenager from his parish that he thinks John Wayne Gacy got, but they never caught him over that one. But
huh?
that kid came up missing, and it was around that area. And there was a park near my house, like you could see it from my balcony, Washington Park, where Gacy got like 3 people out of there that, they had busted him on killing them over about a 15-year period.
Huh.
He did home remodeling for a
Yeah,
job.
I
Yeah.
I think yeah, I've watched a couple shows about him.
Yeah. He said the only thing he'd plead guilty to was running an unlicensed funeral home.
Oh, God.
They found the bodies underneath his house.
Stop.
Yeah, no, it's no kidding, man. Yeah, he came out with a book actually, and I
Mm.
had a signed copy of one of them one time. I bought it at an auction, and then after that, Illinois and passed a law where you couldn't profit from being like a serial killer.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
shit.
Yep. And I think basically every place is like that now. Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
He got executed, didn't he? Didn't they
Uh,
execute him?
um, gosh, Tom, I don't remember.
And we had another one
I
in
think
Ypsilanti where
so.
my sister went to college. That's where I went to college too. John Norman Collins. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I was young at the time, but that's the same place I went to school. But
Oh,
I know a guy who was friends with Karen Sue Bynum was her name. It was one of the early girls that was murdered by that kook. And
oh, really?
yeah, yep, they were from Grand Rapids. Yep. Yeah, it's just you just wonder, like Ted Bundy, all those wackos. Son of Sam, I think he might have got out of David Berkowitz. I think he might have been paroled. I'm not sure. And that Chapman got paroled, the one that killed John Lennon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's out. And Charlie Manson, they never let him out. Of course, you didn't need to talk to him very long to realize that he wasn't going to get any better.
Oh, yeah, I know it.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
son of a bitch. But there are guys like that, and these Menendez brothers too. I think they're getting out, or they're still in,
Yeah.
and they almost got out. Something.
Yeah, they were working on it and stuff, but then I don't know, it kind of went off the news. So, for a while it was on the news, so they were maybe going to get parole, and then all of a sudden the story kind of disappeared.
And I think that Chapman, that guy that shot Reagan, got out.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Huh.
mean, it just make you wonder, man. I mean, I see some of these guys on these crime shows that like kill these people, and they're out
Uh-huh.
in like 20 years, man. That just doesn't seem right.
Oh yeah, yeah, there's something wrong with our laws there. I
And,
know.
and Bill Cosby got out on a technicality. Of course, he didn't kill anybody. Yeah, I can
Right.
remember old Bill. I can remember him bragging on a talk show about never using foul language in a monologue.
Oh God.
Yeah, and
I
here he
never
is.
liked him. I never liked his show.
No, I thought it was like boring and stupid.
Yeah, no, I never thought he was funny.
But see, just like my case that I got reversed, he had
Uh-huh.
money. And they went out and paid some smart Jew someplace to parse through every one of those transcripts on every one of those cases. And there was one prosecutor that said, if you do this, we'll do this. And that's all it took. And that's what got him out. It wasn't a technicality. That's not a technicality. It was an agreement that was offered, and he fulfilled it. And nobody caught it at the time and caught it later going through transcripts. Yeah. My shit got all turned around too. Actually, I have a hearing. I got this fucking lawyer, the one that won for me. This guy isn't calling me back. I got a thing the 4th, with the court. This fucker, I've called him like 3 times. And I don't know what the hell's going to happen Friday. I mean, if I have to, I don't really need a lawyer at this point, but I'd still rather have one there.
Well,
But
what's it for? A ticket?
what it is, see, they changed the formula on my financial settlement. Instead of getting like 12%, I'm getting 38% now. So all it is plugging in different numbers. But, of course, if you had a lawyer, he'd be wanting to rack your ass fucking $500 an hour to do nothing. So I'm not too worried about it. But it'll be curious, because there's really nothing that could be done. I mean, I've read up on this, and once that appeals court makes that decision, I don't give a fuck who the judge is, who, by the way, is a different one. They got to plug in these numbers. Now, I'm sure, when it comes to, if I'm there by myself, they're going to drag their fucking feet knowing that there's not anybody to say, we're going to give you 5 days to have a check in the mail or watch out. So that's the only, but if I have to, I'll just, listen, have him calculate those numbers and go hire another guy if I have to.
Yeah.
Such a fucking scam. It's ridiculous. Crazy.
Yeah, it is.
The system worked there. But that just goes to show you, man, that, who was wrong? My judge? Of course, you're going to get my vote on that. I mean, why would appeals judges who are appointed make an unfavorable ruling? I mean, there's no carrot at the end of the tunnel. I mean, it's basically academia. That's the second one I beat. I was supposed to go to jail one time for investigating a judge. I got that overturned too. You can look that up on Google. It's called Ravery versus Reed, Ravary versus Reed, Reed. That was $53,000 40 years ago, but I had an insurance policy that paid for it.
Oh.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, I'd have been fucked on that one too.
Huh.
Yep. But it just goes to show you, you just never know, man. I mean, that's why people go to trial, like on things that happened to me the first time. All of a sudden, the best deal that they've offered you is 25 fucking years in prison. It's like, fuck that. I'll take my chances. That's why you go to trial. And if they've got, it's all a big card game. If they've got shaky evidence or you caught one of the lead detectives doing some bullshit, like the OJ trial, all you got to do is get one person to not believe in it.
Oh, I know. Hello?
Sorry about that. You there?
I'm here.
Okay, that was a telemarketer calling me. All you got to do is, get a reasonable doubt, and you win. But man, you see some of these, man. They're interesting to watch. That's what gets people to tune in. You never know. Juries are funny. They can send you away forever, or just as it turns out in the Casey Anthony trial. As it turns out, that was a bunch of cop haters, and despite all those experts and testimony and proof, they let it go in one ear and out the other. They could have gave a fuck. And she got acquitted. He was guilty as hell. So
I know.
a lot of, that's exactly how Oprah met Dr. Phil. He had basically had his license yanked because of screwing patients and was a juror consultant. So he had a company that would go out and get as much shit as you could on the jurors, either before or after, to figure out who you had or who lied during those preemptive strikes early on. And Oprah got sued and made meat prices go down because she talked some shit about Oklahoma cattle farmers, and that's how that relationship with Dr. Phil started out, a jury consultant. So if
Oh
you got a lot
yeah.
of money, the Kennedys, they always got off raping and murder and every other fucking thing. That's because you can, for the right dollar amount, I'm not saying it always works, but you can get an expert to come in there and say they're all full of shit. He's
Right.
got like a resume that'd blow your fucking mind. He's charging $1,800 fucking dollars an hour while he sleeps. But this
Yeah.
motherfucker is going to get you out of handful of. He's going to get your ass out of the death penalty or life in prison.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So when you got that kind of money to blow on those kind of things, and let me tell you, I've seen it happen before. These court-appointed attorneys, unless you get lucky, because that's a flat rate fee. That's another thing people don't know about. Yeah, you're if you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Yeah, that's true. A shitty one, and his
Right.
charges, even though they're a discounted rate, that goes on your court costs. Now,
Oh, I know.
if you get 40 years in prison, who gives a fuck? You're not paying it anyway.
Yeah.
But if you get 3 in prison, that's not so good
Yeah.
because you got to pay it. And you have to satisfy that places and stuff like that. So it's like interesting, like the stuff that's just not really that accurate.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. Like when I got my bullshit, I represented myself, which, if it would have been something heavy, then no fucking way I'd represent myself. Nah, absolutely not. But the kind of
Oh
bullshit I
no.
got charged with, I figured the worst thing if I lost, so fucking what? But I just, I told him there's no way in hell I'm pleading guilty to anything criminal. Not fucking happening. It's like, okay, well, watch and see. It's like, okay, I will. And I just papered him to death. They finally gave in. I did. I drove them fucking nuts. They said they tried to, they had a hearing in front of a judge and said that I was using the legal system as a form of harassment.
Oh.
That I was filing these, 10 of these a week. And that wasn't right. I was filing 20 a week. I drove them fucking nuts. And in order to save face, they had like the secretary tell me, I'd be calling up there because court records are not subject to the Freedom of Information Act request, but prosecutors' records are. And they're always
Oh really?
understaffed. Yeah, they're always understaffed, don't have enough money. So I'd call them all the time, say, hey, you better have this shit tomorrow. I'm going to go in and get that $10,000 fine you guys are going to get because you're not doing this in a timely fashion. And finally, one
Huh.
day I just called, was going to tell them that. It's like, I'm trying to be reasonable. And she said, look, is there something you'd agree to? I said, yeah, there is. I'll agree to anything civil, nothing criminal. She said, when you can hang on a second. It's like, yep, came back. She said, we'll do that. So
Oh
I got like
God.
basically a fucking jaywalking thing and some other stupid shit. They couldn't even find a law that was civil in lieu of criminal ones. They had to like research it and found some like thing for Model A's or some bullshit. But I got out of it all. Yeah. But I would not do that with something serious. No way.
Oh no.
And I had in federal courts, even 10 times worse. I had a PI buddy of mine get in trouble. And I followed him around all the court cases. And they wanted 50 grand up front 40 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, federal court. Yeah, that's just super crazy expensive. Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
I
these
guess I'd
lawyers
get
are like,
a court appointed lawyer.
I mean, the people that do prevail with them. Now, if you get
Uh-huh.
really lucky, you got some law firm that believes that you got shafted and it's a chance for them to make themselves look good. That does happen. You will get
Oh
places that are,
yeah.
and look at all the
Yeah.
people, look at all these people that are getting acquitted and let out of prison because they found the cops lied, the DNA. Speaking of DNA, that 23andMe or 23andMe, you see all the shit they're in? They're the ones that been selling those genetic testing for the last 10 years. I've got one here, actually. And now they're saying that a bunch of their stuff's bullshit. And they just filed for bankruptcy in Chapter 11. And what they're saying they're going to do they're saying that they're going to sell all that information they collected from people, and everybody's having a fucking fit. And there's some website you can go on now to try and delete this before it's sold. So, here
Uh-huh.
you're doing this ancestor shit. You're finding out dirt that nobody thought existed. And now there's a chance it's going to be plugged into God knows what. It's interesting,
Huh.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I've got the kit. I got one inside actually. I was just getting ready to mail it in. I just never
Well,
got around to doing it, and now I don't think I'm gonna. Because, I was gonna, I know people that had huge family disputes over this stuff. Like,
really?
yeah, kids out of wedlock and infidelity and all sorts of shit, which I still
Huh.
can't quite figure out. I mean, it sounded like bullshit to me from day one, some of it. I mean, I can
Yeah.
understand how, you could get stuff out there you wish people didn't know, but I don't know how they know your mom got fucked by the mailman and you got a brother in Toledo, Ohio. I mean, how do you get that through shit?
Yeah, I
I mean,
know. I
I
don't
just,
get
some of
that.
it just, if anybody knows the answer to that, I'd definitely be curious. Because that person, I guess that person would have had to send in that same bullshit. And
That's what
that's how,
I'm thinking.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I just, I know in Michigan, I mean, for a long time that people used to call me as a PI and say, hey, I was given up at birth. And I never charged anybody for it. It's like, well, I can try. And I did find a couple, but that was done through Catholic social services, and those records were suppressed. And the only way they could be brought up is if there was like some medical thing and, some fluke,
Right.
weird juvenile cancer or some shit. And even then, they kept the names anonymous. But then later on, the state of Michigan came up with a program where, like, let's say you and I, were kids out of wedlock and we sent our
Uh-huh.
paperwork in. If our parents sent it in or they sent it in first and we sent it in later, they would match you up and you'd introduce it. But I read an article one time that overall, I mean, how human behavior is. If you pulled off, back then before abortion, and you had kids out of wedlock and it had been a secret for 30 years or 50 years or however, people weren't too thrilled about a knock at the door and everybody wanted
No,
to
I
know who that
know.
is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like anything, it's there. I got mixed feelings on it, but I don't know. I just think that, of course, it shouldn't be. It's weird because you still had to send your part of the paperwork in. It's not like you were knocking on doors and they
Right.
were, so that's where it gets a little like dicey on the validity of some of these stories. Is
Yeah,
it?
I know.
Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, now I do know of instances where, they figured it out other ways, kids out of wedlock and like, look at these politicians and slaves. Fuck, they had kids. They were fucking the slaves the whole time, some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just think if somebody could go that let's as an example didn't like you, and they could pay, let's say, $5,000 to find every fucked up thing you'd ever done and print a report. I mean
Right.
that'd keep me up. I don't want to have,
Yeah.
just I'm talking about every single moral indiscretion, lie, theft, whatever the fuck
Right.
you did, and all of a sudden this can become available because
Yeah.
yeah, and they say for the grace of God, there go I. There's an element of truth to that.
Right. Yeah, I know
Sometimes
it.
you just get lucky.
Yeah.
Didn't get caught. Man, I could have got caught at so much shit. My whole life
Oh,
would
I
have been
know.
different. I mean, I'd have never
Mhm.
like been a PI. It would have been a waste of money to get a degree in criminal justice. What a fucking joke. I mean, that thing would have been absolutely fucking useless if I'd have gotten caught at about 1,000 things. Yeah, and I'd have a felony on my record. And I look back at some of that shit when I was younger. I mean, my dad encouraged that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he was telling me how to get to uh, horror houses when I was 16. But
Jeez.
that's parent abuse and
Yeah,
stealing.
that's kind of screwed up.
Yeah. And then
I
stealing,
mean,
he was always stealing. All those people that he worked for Ford's, and he was always bragging about the shit he stole out of there. And I just stole like tons of shit. I
yeah,
mean, you wouldn't
well,
believe it, but it was like, to me, I remember being like, when I was young, I just thought that we were smarter than the cops. And if you had any balls, you'd be doing this too. And I mean, that's the way, like it was, that's the
yeah,
way
but
it
see,
was.
yeah, but see, see, you were your environment, Tom. See, I mean, you you were like your dad. He showed you, and you thought it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was like,
Yeah,
I mean, it didn't even like, I'm thinking my dad, like, oh, that's really cool. I mean, I knew he was fucked up, but
yeah,
not in that aspect. I thought, wow, it's really cool. Here, all my
right,
buddies or dads are spanking their ass and shit because they caught him with a Playboy, and mine's telling me how to get to a fucking horror house in Windsor.
yeah.
Yes,
I know it.
nuts.
Nope.
God.
Yeah, I know. Nope. Kids are their environment. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then
Yep.
slowly, as I like got around, I went off to college, and I was still that way. And then it was about like 23 or so, and I thought, you know what? I just saw like a bunch of other people I wasn't, and all my buddies and stuff did that shit too. Yeah, and a lot of them did really well. And then I got older, and I thought, man, I better just quit this shit. And it never even dawned on me getting caught.
Yeah.
If I did, I thought I'd like get out of it some way. It's just stupid.
Oh, yeah.
You
When
know?
you're younger, you don't think of the
Yeah, you
consequences.
think it's other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But life's not fair. I got lucky. That's different. I could have had
Yeah.
life not be fair and got unlucky, and God knows what I'd be doing now. Probably be, some bullshit job somewhere, renting a
Yeah.
room.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah, really. It can happen. There's a way smarter guys out there than me that didn't get this lucky. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely had luck. That's for sure. And just like PI too. I mean, fuck, man. I think practically everybody was a better PI than me. I really
Oh,
do. I mean, I'm not kidding you. And they're still working.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the guys I sold to. Uh, they're still working. They're my age,
Uh-huh.
and
Well,
it's
they
like
probably
basically,
enjoy it.
yeah, it's a grind, though. I'm telling you, man. You got to go after the work you want. You just don't sit around and people call it. But basically, rather than printing cash, they end up basically just buying themselves jobs. They bought jobs. Hey, ACB, how you doing? Yeah, they bought themselves jobs, and you know what? Uh, when once in a while they wanted to try and do what I did with them, they'll decide to go sell it, and when a CPA comes in or an attorney specializes specializes in businesses for sale comes in representing the potential buyer, it's like
Uh-huh.
there isn't any money at this. No, there's no fucking buy what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they're probably not going to get anything for it. So the only hope, I guess, is just like, and that would be one super difficult business to run as an absentee owner. I mean, you're putting out fucking fires all day. And back when I had it, it was either, I was not like, it was not a pleasant conversation if you weren't doing a good job. And that's the way it is nowadays. You got to handhold these fuckers or they'll all quit. You'll
Huh.
go in there with like 100 investigations you need done that month, and everybody just walked out because you're a big asshole. I would, yeah, I mean, that can happen. Now you got to like that Create Plus, you got a liberal governor there in Michigan. If you're 15 years old working part time at a McDonald's now, you're accruing paid for vacation time.
Hmm?
That's nuts. You're paid for attention time, vacation time as a teenager. You accrue for every certain hours work. You get you get you accrue vacation time. It's fucking insane.
That is. Huh.
Yeah. Here's somebody that had a question. Well, there's
Oh
my
boy.
answer. Yep, there's my answer. You got hidden and deleted. I know better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whenever
people that
they
have
come in
questions.
like that.
Yeah, exactly. People that have questions, ask them.
And I don't I don't know how to I don't think I can take care of the chat when I'm on here.
Yeah, I think you can, but I'm not sure of that.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure
think you can.
either.
I think I'm not really sure of the difference, other than, you couldn't leave comments, but I think a
Right.
managing moderator can get rid of moderators.
Oh, I don't
But but
know.
but I don't fuck, I don't know. I don't really check it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's just, you look at people like funny how shit works out with people.
Oh, I know.
Look at my sister, first female owner of McDonald's franchises, ends up dying in a dumpy assisted living care facility with her house in foreclosure at 82 and 9 grandchildren that never visit her.
Yeah.
And she created all that by
Yeah, I
just
know
giving
it.
that brat. Yeah. So, but when she got her first store, it was like party hats and balloons, and life was good for a long time.
Yeah.
But I've seen it happen before, man. You never. Marty's got some friends where some of them worth 50 million, living in
Huh.
fucking trailers with tarps and bricks on the roof. Had vacation homes in Florida and all that shit. Yeah, you just never
It's
know the twists and
crazy.
turns. Yeah, twists and turns in life.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Financially, yeah, I wish I could go back in time and do things differently, when
Yeah,
I
but you
had
know
my
what though? I mean,
money.
would it really be that different? I
Yes.
mean, you think that, but I'm not convinced that it leads to like a happier state of mind. It seems like it would, but you got a roof over your head. You,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, other than that, now if you were like homeless, no, that's different. But you're not. And
Right.
other than just having more shit, would it really be that much better? I mean, you'd give more money to Sarah and stuff. So maybe it's good
Yeah.
that you don't have it. I mean, just I'm not convinced of like more is better when it comes to money, other than not being homeless and stuff like that.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Hey, on a different subject, you know what I've been like spending a lot of my time, believe it or not, reading about opera and classical music. These people like
Oh,
around the 17th century and stuff. I mean, I've realized in the last like 2 weeks that like rock music, there's such a difference between culture and IQ and talent and whether or not you're a commercial success. I mean, when after looking at this, I look at rock now compared to like early composers, and it's like
uh-huh.
apples and oranges. I mean, and nobody even knows about a lot of these famous guys that, died broke. Everybody is judged on how many records you sell.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's just insane. I mean, and I couldn't help on my mind when I'm reading these things and listening to this music and having it explained how like Kid Rock could get paid to do anything. It's
Yeah.
as low as a bar as you could set. But he runs around with the American flag and
Yep.
sings other people's songs and has gotten rich.
Yep.
And here these
I
guys,
know.
it's like some of the best music ever written and nobody knows who they are.
Oh, I know. Oh, there's so many entertainers like that nowadays.
Oh yeah, you look at like concert musicians. I'm talking about people that could play in an orchestra.
Right.
Give me the name of some. You
No.
can't. And
No.
even all the people like Liberace, Elton John, Billy Joel, those guys could not work part time in any capacity for a legitimate orchestra.
Oh
Not
no.
even close. And
Not
most
even
of them
close.
can't read music.
Yep.
But when it comes to like everything is like upside down. I get these like lectures on like these operas and classical music and stuff, like a whole set. I mean, they tried
Uh-huh.
getting like 500 a set at the beginning, but I get them brand new unopened for $14 free delivery on eBay. And I got them
Huh.
playing all the time and I'm inside fucking around. It's
Yeah.
just that much great knowledge, but commercially it doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Yeah, I
No,
got
I
them on
know
all
it.
sorts of shit. Opera, poetry, classical music. I mean, they got them on everything. It's called Great Courses. They got them on like all sorts of shit. And if you go on, they still sell them like on their website. You'll see it's like, let's say, Great Courses on Appreciating Opera. It's like be 6 CDs, like maybe 39 lectures. It's like $640. And
Uh-huh.
I get them for brand new unopens for 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that's our world we live in now. It's Madonna and
Oh yeah, there's so many of them. They can't even sing, but uh,
yeah,
they know how to play the game.
yeah,
Yeah.
so insane. Hey, Crunchy Munch. Yeah, it's just
Yep.
it's like crazy. And there's
No, I
some of these
know.
guys like 17th century guys that like compose this music, and like since then, all the way till now, they say like the greatest composers that ever lived. And nobody even knows who they are. I didn't know who they are, so I started listening to this shit and reading about it. And since then, I've bought books. And one thing there was a like with Galileo and a lot of those old, really super brilliant people. There was a family called the Medici family that appreciated culture and paid for a lot of those guys to be able to do that shit and not work bullshit jobs. And they
Oh,
say like
yeah.
Beethoven and guys like that were like impossible to get along with. They would hire him to go do a concert. He'd be into it like 5 minutes and say, "This is fucking bullshit. It's too hot, it's too cold," and leave.
Uh,
Yeah, all those
yeah.
guys were really like super eccentric, but none of them seemed to do. They couldn't have done it for the money because there wasn't any money into it. You know.
Right.
But I really had a
Yeah.
good time listening to this stuff. I listen to when I'm driving
Hmm.
down the road. Everything. Yeah, it's really interesting. You know. Well, I
Hmm.
just thought I'd come on and say hello. I hadn't done it too much lately, so I'm
Yeah, it
glad
was
this link worked. What
fun.
I learned is you can't do it when it's horizontal. It's got to be vertical like this, and that
Okay.
you can come on at any time once you've been sent that link. So it's actually
Okay.
pretty good.
Now, can you do it on your computer too?
No, just
Okay,
mobile.
just your phone.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
Oh, and it doesn't cost you anything.
No, that's StreamYard. I mean, I'm always on the borderline of just renewing. It's like 300 a year.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. It's like you just, you know,
Well,
sometimes, yeah, it's hard to like do good.
yeah, and then you have to put up with sorry to say, the people coming up.
Yeah, that's right. I
You
mean, it's,
know,
yeah,
how many times has your show been interrupted when we're having a good time because some idiots come up on the stage?
yeah, that's exact.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Or even
so
sometimes, you can interrupt them a lot of ways. Not like it's some great content, but they'll just
right.
come on and say we'll be in the midst of talking about abortion or the death penalty or something, and they'll come on and say they just got done eating a ham sandwich.
Yeah, yeah, ham sandwich. I know. I'm not the most entertaining person either,
No, but
but
no,
I
but then
mean,
it won't end there. It's like, oh, great, it's good. It'll just go on, and then they were thinking about bean soup tomorrow, and it's like, you
oh
know,
God, I
yeah,
know.
drunk too. That's exactly right. Yeah, we got. I got a
Oh, the
couple.
drunks.
I got a couple
Oh.
Yeah, drunks. That's exactly right. No, the drunks are the worst.
Oh, aren't they the
Yeah,
worst?
yeah. I got rid of all
Oh,
them in case you haven't noticed. I just block
oh,
them and like they'll send me emails and I just ignore them. And
yeah.
almost the drunks are really easy to like double verify. First of all, they're drunk. I mean, you just cringe as they talk and ruin a chat. But then all
Yeah.
of them send the same thing. Did I do something wrong?
Oh, I know.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're a
Hello.
drunken idiot.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
you did wrong.
yeah, yep. Like
Oh,
this. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, you guys
oh
have a
my.
good day today.
Yeah, you too, Tom. Thanks for the invite.
All right, and I'll let you know when I'll do another Crunch and Munch. You take care, James. Party on. Anybody else on there?
Yeah,
Uh,
bye, everybody.
ACB, good to see you. Justa. All right, I'll talk to you later, Angie. All
Okay,
right.
sounds good.
All
Okay,
right,
bye,
take care.
everybody.
Bye, Frisky.
Okay,
Party on.
bye. I got